Hi guys, welcome back to another Matchbox Garage video. I'm Rob, and today I'm going to attempt to take this Pontiac GP Sports Coupe from very shabby to shiny. This is in very bad condition. You don't need me to tell you. It looks like somebody has given it a good old stamping on. But we're going to try and do it anyway. So we'll drill down the centre of the post, remove the flange, tap that hole, or those holes. Let's give a, that's better. Don't forget my very handy vise. And I've got a little replacement window there from Model Supplies. But here is the car in question. Perhaps the little boy that had this car thought that it might run faster, if it was a bit more streamlined, and yeah, give it a good bit of a stamping on. But actually, it rolls really well still. So, the tow hook's in good condition. The doors were there; they open and close. I could see that the interior appeared to all be intact. The kind of, the frame was bent. Certainly that needed to be straightened out, as well as the roof. But let's start taking it apart to see what we got. So it does read underneath, made in England by Lesney, Matchbox Series number 22. Pontiac GP Sports Coupe. So I've already pre-drilled this one. So we'll remove the two screws here. And I've got a new tap. You may have kind of watched a video a few videos ago. If I remember rightly, it was the Jeep video where I managed to snap my tap. So I've just got the new one today, so that worked beautifully. Now I like it when I restore these older cars, when the base is in such a good condition. Okay, there's a few paint chips, but I like to just keep it as that. Just wash it up, kind of give it a little bit of a polish, and keep it original, so that on the top, perhaps it looks brand new, but if someone does pick it up, they know it's been restored by seeing underneath. So thankfully the interior was in very good condition. Nothing broken considering, it had been stamped on. A bit dusty, a bit crusty, but otherwise okay to use. So obviously this was the old windscreen next to the new. Little chip off the bottom there, but well, you can't see that in the actual model itself. Now it's complete, so no problems there. So we take out this little door retainer. I always keep that to one side. I don't ever try and strip that of its paint. I imagine if I put this in caustic soda, there'd be nothing left of it. So we pop it off there. Keep that safe. And if only I had everything in the frame. But the doors, they thankfully wasn't bent, they wasn't broken. Got some nice detail on the inside. But, my plan, if I should succeed, to use the split pins as A-pillars. Now I'm going to take this down the shed, put a bit of heat to it, give it a good old bending. And this is what I come up with. Pretty good, eh? So you can kind of see there some of the paint, especially on this side, got a little bit roasty, a little bit toasty, where I had the heat. Now, at this stage, I noticed that one side was broken. So it's actually only hanging on by 1 point at the moment. So it's 3 points I'll have to fix. Now, although I've pushed that back there, you can see, and I think it's probably more prominent once I put in this windscreen, the actual kind of roof is almost like a V shape. So I'm still having and still got to try and kind of take that V shape out of it, which is proved difficult, but I managed to do it, kind of. So here it is. Yeah. So now I've got two pieces, and it was at that point that I wondered, do I continue? Do I turn it into a Mad Max, or But anyway, I decided, let's give it a go. So I mixed up the paint, obviously try to mix it and colour match as close as I can. I went with 8 parts red, 1 part orange and 1 part white. But we pop all the pieces now then into some boiling water and a couple of teaspoons of caustic soda. If you're going to do this, remember your ventilation, eye protection and your gloves as well. And then just a couple of minutes later, after rinsing it off, this is what we're left with. Now, I didn't leave it in for too long. I was a bit concerned of these metal pieces here. It's quite thin. I wanted them to still be there once I kind of emptied it out. And sure enough, everything was fine. A few little bits of pieces of paint holding on, but to be fair, it just flicked off, so not an issue. And I spent a little bit of extra time on this one, starting to kind of really get an interest for this. But yeah, when I polished this up, it looked brand new, other than in 2 pieces, but it was beautiful. And what I've done here, I've kind of glued it anyway, and then I've added an additional bit of glue on the outside, and then using the baking powder or baking soda, just line it up next to the super glue there and just blow it on. I didn't kind of just pile it on. I just blew it on so that it would only stick to what was needed. And after it took me about half an hour, but all the points were glued. Cut down those pins. Kind of sanded it down, and the back looks good, and the front looks good. Could have used probably a wider split pin, but hey, better than what it was, right? So I'm still kind of handling it very gingerly, but just opening the doors here, ready to go with the primer. I'm going to go with the light grey Tamiya fine primer here, because it's got the doors. What I like to do, open up the doors and try and get into all the under the doors, in the door sills, the door shuts, etc. Anywhere that I'm not going to be able to get when the door is closed. So I just try and grab that from all angles. I then put it to one side, let it dry. Close up the doors. Try not to close the doors fully. Perhaps I'll close them to 95%. You can see they're just open a tad. I don't want it to touch, the kind of, I guess, the retaining piece, but close it enough so that I'm not going to get any issue kind of covering up any part of the casting when I give it this proper coat. And I'll just give it the once over, which is more than Lesney ever did. Now the grill was quite deep, so I'm having to kind of hit it up from a couple of different angles just to make sure I've got full coverage. And as always, it looks beautiful. Shiny, shiny. Obviously, it dries off and it goes to a matte finish, but yeah, it's always the perfect. Now, for whatever, I don't know why, but I was having problems with my airbrush today. You know, I eventually got a good coat on this car, but I certainly had issues, and I'd done like a big full tear down kind of soon after I finished this car today. Seems like I had a bit of junk stuck in the nozzle at the end, but anyway, see, I'm having issues. I think what I need as well is some more seal. I think I watched a program and it suggested to use some natural beeswax, so I might have to try and get some of that. I don't think it's very expensive. I should be able to get kind of 25 grams of it, which will last me a lifetime, and probably for about 99 pence. But it's just another thing, isn't it? It's just another thing. So excuse my big dumb hand in the way here. I'm trying to kind of get things, trying to hit all the angles as best I can, whilst also capturing on the camera also. Sometimes I kind of ignore the camera and just, you know, do obviously what's best for the car, and you know, whatever footage I get, that's what I get, kind of thing. So when I switch to, obviously I've closed the doors now, that first coat had dried, and then I'll just hit it up, get a good coverage over the whole thing, and then usually what I do is I'll turn the camera off and then concentrate and really kind of get the layers of paint on, and I'll end up with probably 3 or 4 coats. I've yet to have any runs in any paint. I've had where, say if I've put it on too much, too quick, I'll get kind of pits over the car, but 95% of the time it goes okay. Sometimes it could be shinier, but I think that's still where I've got to kind of work with my clears afterwards, you know. But anyway, after I've done 3 or 4 coats, put it to one side, let it dry, and this is how she turned out. Very nice, very shiny. There's no lacquer on top of this, it is just that Tamiya acrylic. But what I'll do now is take my silver paint pen, and go over the lights and the grille as per the standard. So this is a restoration, you know, it's as good as a restoration can be. It's not a custom. Now when I get these from model supplies, I guess are they 3D printed, are they, or I don't know how they're made, but I still like to, although they are brand new, I still want to dip them in my pledge just to get them nice and shiny. Now we'll have a look at the interior. Like I say, thankfully it was in good condition, so nothing to be done here other than a bit of a wash, a dry off, and it looks good as new. And I'll give the same treatment to the base here with the tyres. So like I say, I'm just going to give it a bit of a scrub up, and it comes up, look, you know, it comes up shiny. Yeah, there's some kind of bits of paint off, but I don't even know how old this is. Is it from the 70s, early 70s, late 60s? I haven't done my research actually, I just kind of cracked on with it. Now on to a couple of previous ones. So there's been a few comments that suggest, you know, why didn't I kind of paint in the axles? I've left them natural before, but I thought maybe if I go over it in silver. I didn't want to do chrome because, I don't know, I would have thought chrome would have looked too custom. I think the silver would have been a bit more original. But I like it how they turned out. I didn't need to do any kind of black wash on the tyres. The tyres seem to be really, once I'd actually washed them in the soapy solution, they look good anyway, so I just left those as they were. Okay, so we've got all the pieces now. Everything's had time to dry. So we know the base. We know the interior there. And thankfully the tow hook was in good condition. 2 little screws. The car itself, thankfully, still in one piece. Every time I touch it, I fear that it's going to break apart in my hands. And the glass there now dry and now nice and shiny. So as a little reminder to the absolute poor state that it was in and the result. I think this is now my favourite car out of my 1,000 car collection. I think just because of how far it's come. Yeah, it's not perfect. I think the colour's probably a little bit too red. Maybe needed a little extra orange, but still, this to me is perfect now. I love it. But I take this opportunity to thank my Patreons, Wheels and Things, Bearded Outcast, Nick's Toy Garage, and Mark Dandridge. And of course, thank you guys for watching, and hopefully you'll stick around for the next one.